which matrilineal inheritance still obtains in West Africa. That is, children inherit from their mother's family, so that things stay in the mother's bloodline. But in Africa, there's patrilineal control, so the father can decide when they grew up, would rape their daughters and kill their sons. Black women have nursed a nation of strangers. For hundreds of years, they literally nursed babies at their breasts who they knew when they grew up would rape their daughters and kill their sons. That's a fact.
That's strong.
I know, but it's the truth, Bill. It's the truth.
Singer, teacher, dancer, poet, authoress, actress, editor, songwriter, playwright. Someone has said Maya Angelou's career has touched more bases than Henrietta, yet all these categories fail to do justice to the scope of her life. She was raised in Stamps, Arkansas by her grandmother and came as a teenager to join her mother in San Francisco, where, by the way, she became the first black fare collector on the Market Street Railway. In the early 1950s, she studied dancing with Pearl Primus in New York and later appeared as a singer in San Francisco's Purple Onion. She toured Europe and Africa with Porgy and Bess, taught modern dance in Rome and Tel Aviv, played the female lead off-Broadway in The Blacks, worked with Godfrey Cambridge on Cabaret for Freedom, and spent a year helping to raise funds for Martin Luther King in the North. Blacks and women are both trying to get free of cliches and stereotypes. How does a person who's both black and female come to grips with a society that doesn't know who you are?
Well, one works at it, certainly. Being free is as difficult and as perpetual, or rather fighting for one's freedom. Struggling toward being free is like struggling to be a poet, or a good Christian, or a good Jew, or a good Muslim, a good Zen Buddhist. You work all day long and achieve some kind of level of success by nightfall, go to sleep, and wake up the next morning with the job still to be done. So you start all over again. I don't know if the society doesn't know who I am. And I mean I, woman, I, black, I, human. I don't know if I quite believe that. I think it knows and doesn't itself want to cope. And that is the society's problem, not mine.
What do you mean it doesn't want to cope?
It doesn't want to deal with the human quality of me.
Stereotypes are easy.
Exactly.
Categories are more manageable.
Exactly. All you have to do, you see, is put a label on somebody. And then you don't have to deal with the physical fact. You don't have to wonder if they are waiting for the Easter Bunny or love Christmas or, love their parents and hate small kids and are fearful of dogs. If you say, oh, that's a junkie, that's a Jew, that's the end of it.
Are black women still wearing these myths, these labels, these categories?
Well, black women wear them only in white people's eyes, in the white society's eyes. You see, black women have been incredibly free to struggle for hundreds of years. And the story of the black woman is about the most noble story I know of mankind, in the history of man. We were brought here from societies which had matrilineal inheritance in West Africa, which our matrilineal inheritance still obtains in West Africa. That is, children inherit from their mother's family, so that things stay in the mother's bloodline. But in Africa, there's patrilineal control. So the father can decide where he wants his children to go to school, who he wants them to marry, and things, really important things. Well, slavery obviously ruled out any chance of patrilineal control. But there was the matrilineal dominance, which went underground. And after slavery, the black woman until 1940 was the one in the family who was able to make a living, because the black men couldn't get jobs. And
didn't that give rise to this image of matriarchal ogres?
I
think is your term.
know. It's just, and it's not fair. It's not the total picture. But it would be very valuable, I think, if the people who would use matriarchy as a pejorative, would do some homework and see where it came from and why the black woman at some point begins to believe her own publicity. You see, she's asked to be strong, so she's strong. And she sees how strong she is, she becomes a little bit stronger. She becomes a bit larger than life. The white woman, on the other hand, has agreed to being a victim. And a woman named Bea Richards, a great poet, a great actress, wrote a poem, The Black Woman Speaks to White Womanhood, in which she says that white women, who were brought here many times almost as much slaves as black women, to marry, she says, if they did appraise my teeth, they checked out your thigh and sold you to the highest bidder, the same as I. And yet, she goes on in her poem to say, yet you settled down, and when you saw my children sold, you gave no reproach, but for an added settled down in your pink slavery, and thought that enduring my slavery, or allowing it to happen, would make yours less. She said, you never noticed that the bracelet you took was really a chain, and the necklace you accepted throttled your speech. Now, there's a great difference in the white American woman and the black American woman.
What do you think that women's liberation is? A white woman's fantasy?
No, certainly not a fantasy.
Not a fantasy.
Necessity.
A necessity.
They definitely need it.
Does it say anything to black women?
Very little, I'm afraid. You see, white women have been made to feel in this society that they are superfluous. A white man can run his society.
Not superfluous in bed.
No.
Not superfluous in the home. Not superfluous in
No, excuse me, Bill, I didn't mean that. I mean to run his world. He can send his rockets to the moon, and the little woman can sit at home. He can keep that camera rolling. And I love seeing you bring in some women in the crew. It just made me love you more, because I already did that. But generally, it makes the white American man, makes the white American woman, maybe not superfluous, but just a little kind of decoration. As not really important to the turning around of the wheels of state. Well, the black American woman has never been able to feel that way. No black American man at any time in our history in the United States has been able to feel that he didn't need that black woman right against him, shoulder to shoulder. In that cotton field, on the auction block, in the ghetto, wherever, that black woman is an integral, if not a most important part of a family unit. There is a kind of strength that is almost frightening in black women. It's as if a steel rod runs right through the head down to the feet. And I believe that we have to thank black women not only for keeping the black family alive, but the white family.
Why is that?
Because black women have nursed a nation of strangers. For hundreds of years, they literally nursed babies at their breasts who they knew when they grew up would rape their daughters and kill their sons. That's a fact.
That's strong.
I know, but it's the truth, Bill. It's the truth.
You have done almost anything you wanted to. You've traveled a lot. You've tasted many languages and many lifestyles. You've written, you've acted, you've sung, you've scored movies. You've really been a mobile, nomadic, free person. What price have you paid for that freedom?
Well, at some point, you only are free when you realize you belong no place. You belong every place, no place at all. The price is high. The reward is great. I feel that I really have felt almost all my life that I wouldn't live long. And now I'm doing a pretty good job, you know. But
you've lived a prophet. Somebody said a prophet is a person whose predictions have been proven wrong long after they're forgotten. Maybe that self-prophecy will prove to be forgotten.
I hope. Anyway, but
do you belong anywhere?
I haven't yet.
Do you belong to anyone?
More and more. I mean, I belong to myself. I'm very proud of that. I am very concerned about how I look at Maya. I like Maya very much. I like the humor and the courage very much. And when I find myself acting in a way that doesn't please me, then I'm concerned about their own morality. In the early part of the 19th century, there were whites who became abolitionists and supported the Underground Railroad, not because they loved blacks, but because they loved truth. And not since that time. I mean, all the World War II, where we all got together and balled up string and so forth, and was for somebody else. It was for the Jews and Europe. But suddenly, or not so suddenly, in the United States, the people are concerned about their own morality, their own continuation. And that, I believe, will reflect in turn and in time on the Black American struggle.
How?
If you're a producer who hates AI, this plugin might change your mind. This is Reimagining Co-Producer. You can take any sample you find and flip it into infinite, one-of-a-kind variation.
Well, I think that white Americans will freely, once they clear up their own backyards, will be able to, that is to say, their own internal selves about integrity and honesty, will have no out, no recourse, except to deal with the race question, which, as Dr. Du Bois said at the turn of the century, the problem for the 20th century will be the problem of the color line. And that will be dealt with not from a paternalistic point of view, I hope, and this is what I expect, not at the sufferance of their time, their energy, of when they have at somebody's whim, but because it is right to do. And if the country is to continue, if it is to continue to grow to be what it hopes to be, then certainly people will move because it is right to do so.
All right, so this is going on in front of the curtain.
Yes.
What's going on behind the curtain?
Well, I think that we've come to a place, Black Americans have come to a place where they are taking a long, deep breath. And one sees that in history, that it does happen like that. Every many years, there's a surge forward. Herbert Aptheker has a great book called Black American Slave Revolts, in which he starts from the 17th century, the slave revolts, protest movements, and actual riots and that sort of thing. And one sees that there's a kind of rhythm to a movement. And I think we're at a pause now while people take deep breaths and try to decide.
You had a son who's now 27, I guess.
A fantastic son.
If you had a daughter 10 or 12 years of age, what would you say to her about growing up in this society?
Oh, well, first, if I had a daughter, it's what I'm at the point of adopting a child now, since I have no child in the home, and I love them. I respect all of them, white and black. My child, I hope, would be black, because I have so much I can teach her and pull out of her. I would say you might encounter many defeats, but you must never be defeated, ever. In fact, it might even be necessary to confront defeat. It might be necessary to get over it, all the way through it, and go on. I would teach her to laugh a lot. Laugh a lot at the silliest things. And be very, very serious. I teach her to love life, I bet you that.
When you were growing up in Stamps, Arkansas.
Nah.
Let's go home for a
Yeah,
minute.
where were you growing up at the same time?
Just 98 miles away.
That's right.
Same pine tree.
I know.
What did whites look like to an 8-year-old boy?
I didn't see them. I mean, I didn't think that they were people. I thought whites were like ghosts. That if you put your hand on one, your finger would go all the way through. I didn't think
You know what?
What?
That's why we thought blacks.
I thought, the real people were black people. And the others were white folks. And they weren't, they didn't have kidneys and heart and things like that. They didn't cry. You knew that, black people. I used to see black people. So I knew they didn't cry, because people cried. And white folks just stayed white and kind of floated around like that.
Did you dream?
Oh, yes.
What?
Well, at 8, I dreamed once that, or for a number of years, once I found I'd go to the movies and I saw people like Shirley Temple and Judy somebody.
Garden.
Judy.
Oh, gee whiz.
Yeah,
We're
she's
both
from the
getting
South.
old.
And
Wizard of Oz.
yes, all that. Not Judy Garland. But anyway, those young girls who were in the movies at the time. One is now a plumber on television. She does a plumbing
Downward mobility.
Anyway, I saw them and I thought, they live such rich lives. Maybe what will happen is, maybe I'm really a white girl. And what's going to happen is I'm going to wake up. I'm going to have long blonde hair. And everybody's going to just go around loving me and sending me off to school. And I would wait at the ranch gate for Johnny Mac Brown, and with a little bonnet on. It's tragic.
When did you realize it was only a dream?
Oh, when I realized that, I realized how lucky I was. It was only a dream. By the time I was 14, and I lived with my mother, and she's so full of joy and life, and I was her baby. So then that became better than being anything else in the world.
That world wasn't at all open to you. How did you manage to stay open to the world, open to hope?
Well, I think you get to a place where you realize you have nothing to lose. Nothing at all. Then you have no reason to bind yourself. I had no reason to hold on. I found it stupid to hold on, to close myself up and hold within me nothing, to protect nothing. So I decided to try everything, to keep myself wide open to human beings, all human beings, seeing them as I understand them to be, not as they wish they were, but as I understand them to be, very truthfully, not idealistically, realistically. And seeing that if this person knew better, he would do better. That doesn't mean that I don't protect myself from his action, and dislike him for his action, but certainly to accept that that's a human being. That too is human. I think that when we lose the prejudices, the fearful, frightening prejudices that say a person like a multiple rapist, a murderer, that's inhuman. When we lose that and accept that that's human, that's human. Hopefully I'll never do it. But obviously if a human being did it, I have the potential. That's human. And then conversely one can say, there's a great masterpiece written. It's a marvelous composition written by a human being. A human being only wrote that. Then I'm a human being. I have that potential.
What are you working on now? Speaking of my Angelou human being.
Well, I have a new book out now. It will come out in the spring, called Gather Together in My Name. It's a continuation of Caged Bird. It takes the next 4 years. But I've just got a new assignment yesterday to do an adaptation of Sophocles' Ajax for the Los Angeles Mark Taper Forum. So I go to work on that now.
Surely not in rhyme.
Yes, partly in rhyme. I decided I'm going to keep the chorus in rhyme so that there'll be a downbeat, you see. So that people can be able to say, wow, that's right. That's right.
Well, as they say, if Sophocles were alive today, he'd be turning in his grave. Do you
You've
think,
never had it so good. You're so grateful.
do you think that white critics have a right to judge black artists?
Well, certainly, I think they have a right. It would help if they understood what they were talking about. Quite often, there are allusions made in Black American writing. There are rhythms set in the writing and counter rhythms, which mean a great deal to blacks. A white American can come in and he'll understand, hopefully, the gist. And that's what one is talking about. The other is sort of in talk. I think that it's dangerous if we start setting up white critics as the end-all, be-all of a piece of work by a black writer, a black musician. Because there's a poem in a book of mine called Harlem Hopscotch. Now, hopscotch, anywhere it's done, is jump, dun, dun, jump, dun, dun, jump, dun, dun, jump, as we know. But in Harlem, that's basic. But there are other counter rhythms that are going on so that the kids dance, dun, dun, jump, bum, jump, 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 bum, bum, jump, 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 bum. See? So the poem says, that wrote, says, 1 foot down and hop is hot. Good things for the ones that's got. Another jump, not to the left. Everybody for himself. In the air, now both feet down. Since you're black, don't stick around. Food is gone, rent is due. You cuss and jump, and then you jump too. Everybody's out of work. You call for 3 and then twist and jerk. Count the line, they count you out. But that's what hopping's all about. Both feet down, the game is done. They think you lost, and I think you won. Now, when a non-black critic approaches the word, he's going to see the social implications in the lines, which are there, hopefully, because the kids who are jumping hopscotch in Harlem are thinking different thoughts than those who are jumping hopscotch on Park Avenue or in the Pacific Heights or whatever. But he will not hear what cracks up a black American audience when they hear it, because it's such a thing. So he misses a great deal of...
But here we may get to the last immutable boundary that might prove to be, it seems to me, the final frustration of people like us. How do you cross that boundary and get inside the skin?
You don't have to. You don't have to. The really being free is being able to accept people where they are and not try to understand all they are or be what they are. But if you are Italian and you have a certain family kind of feeling and understanding and love to sing and love to be and all that, why can't I, if I were a Jew, simply accept that, and you respect what mine is, and we respect Mr. Chan over here, and Mr. Morisaki over there, and Mrs. Brown down the street, and Mr. Jones up the street, and say all of them are good. Not change them. Not at all, Bill. I think one of the most dangerous statements made in the United States, or descriptive phrases, is that it's a melting pot. And look at the goo it's produced.
Well, there isn't anywhere to go from there. So I thank you for spending this time with public television, and I wish your new segment of your autobiography great success. And I hope Sophocles comes alive again.
I do too. Thank you, Bill.
I've been talking to Maya Angelou, who no longer needs any introduction. I'm Bill Moyers. Good night.